Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Michael Sikorski, Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at Unit 52 at Nasdaq-listed Palo Alto Networks. It is great to have you with us, Michael. Welcome to Trade Talks.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me today, Jill.
All right, before we get into the security conversation, give me a little bit on your background, Unit 42.
Yeah, so I lead the threat intelligence team as part of my role as CTO of Unit 42. And I've been responding to large-scale breaches for over 20 years. And in Unit 42, we bring together threat intelligence along with incident response. So you get hacked, we come in, call us in, we sort out the mess, and proactive services where we fix it before you get hacked. And then we're actually the trusted advisor for chief information security officers around the world. And we partner with 178 different organizations worldwide, sharing intelligence, data, and domestically we're talking about the FBI, Homeland Security, CISA, and then internationally we're talking about working with Interpol to take down cyber criminals, and then working with the Ukraine CERT to be able to help in the conflict against Russia.
And there's no shortage of news when it comes to ransomware. Can you help our viewers understand what your team is seeing?
Yeah, one of the big ones I want to talk about is schools that get hacked. It's a big problem. And one of the biggest gangs that are conducting that is Vice Society. And, it's hard for schools. They're sitting ducks. They don't have a lot of budget resources to begin with, let alone to protect against advanced cyber attacks. And there used to be this moral, ethical stance that hackers had of we're going to go after banks and steal their money and focus there. But bucking that trend is Vice Society. They decided we're going to go after schools. And they target them at the start of the school year, at the end of the school year, when it's they're most vulnerable, most likely to pay. And they're very prolific. We tracked 137 attacks that they've done, and they've done 9 attacks against school systems just in 2023. And we've been responding for intrusions of theirs since 2021, and they're starting to up their game, which is really scary, right? They're getting more mature, they're developing their own malware, their own ransomware, deploying it, and they've even gone as far to harass people who don't pay, like recently exposing children's medical records on the dark web. And so we're staying on top of them, seeing how they change, and then seeing who they're going to go after next.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that going after the big banks because they have the money and the teams available to thwart that, but school systems are so vulnerable and they're going to do what they have to do to protect children's information. It really is kind of mind-blowing. Outside of ransomware, what else is Unit 42 responding to?
Yeah, so we're responding to a lot of attacks against telecom and internet service providers, but not necessarily themselves, but the businesses that support them directly. So businesses that are outsourced, help desk kind of stuff, or even their supply chain. And the goal of these attackers ultimately is to get at the telecom so that they can do SIM swapping. And what SIM swapping enables you to do is you basically get access to somebody's cell phone, and then you can get access to their bank accounts, access to their cryptocurrencies. So this is a very financially motivated attack. And these attacks are really focused on social engineering attacks. So we all know phishing. Mm-hmm. Somebody sends you an email, they're trying to get you to click a link, they're trying to get you to divulge information that they might not otherwise. However, they're starting to change, and there's the vishing attacks and smishing attacks. So vishing is V for voice, and that means they're going to be calling and pretending, impersonating to be the help desk and trying to get you to give the information over. And then there's smishing attacks, which is an SMS message, text message to try and get you to give the information over. And the information they're after is that multi-factor authentication codes. So taking a step back, companies around the world rolled out multi-factor authentication, and a lot of employees are like, oh, we're secure now. We have one password plus the multi-factor code. However, now these attackers are going to have to get your password, but then they're also going to have to turn around and get that multi-factor code so that they can get logged in. And so what they're doing is they're social engineering their way to be able to get that. And the two big groups that we're tracking have been popularized as Octopus and Scattered Spider. And so we're staying on top of those, responding to a lot of intrusions in that space. And I think it's really important that, number one, telecoms stay in high alert, and then also that we make sure that, just rolling out MFAs is not enough. You need to stay, on top of it and make sure you're protecting yourself.
So what are organizations supposed to do? If I was a CISO or CTO, I think I might have a little bit of trouble sleeping at night.
Yes, especially because a lot of chief information security officers are overwhelmed with alerts. So there's a lot of security products they have, they're generating a lot of alerts, and there needs to be a change, an investment made in scaling that business, being able to, a lot of intrusions we go into, and we're surprised because the attack's right there in front of them. They just don't have the staff to run their SOC. They're buried in alerts from all these products, and there might be great data in there, but they don't have a chance to sit down and sift through it. So building automations in there, doing things like something happens on your network, something happens on the person's individual computer, tying those together, stitching those together like we do in XDR is something that makes it more efficient. But we're going to have to apply things like machine learning and make that more efficient over time. And then I think we need to train people that on the social engineering that we're seeing so high of like multi-factor authentication, trying to steal that token, whether it be text, voice, email, you name it. They're after those tokens. And then finally, patching vulnerabilities. There's been some really large-scale vulnerabilities that still aren't patched. For example, Log4j came out last year, and they're still not fully patched. We're still seeing attacks against that. So getting in front of realizing that attackers are leveraging those and patch them as soon as you can will protect from the external.
I know we're focusing on enterprise, but as consumers and employees, what can we do on the personal level to help our organizations and keep our banking and phones safe?
Yeah, I think a big thing is people bring their own devices to work these days, and there's not a lot of pushing out technologies to those phones that are security. So it's kind of like they're running around with their own computers. Everybody's working from home, so they have their home routers. So I think it's about being very careful to realize that just because you're getting a text message that looks like it's from work, if you didn't log in or attempt to log in and all of a sudden this text is showing up, it might not be what you think it is, and you should reach out to your help desk, to your IT, and do it directly. And so just be diligent that you realize that something might be coming for you that's not real.
All right, and to wrap up here, anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah, so we're putting out a ransomware report, an extortion report on March 21st, which will talk about the different trends we're seeing. So we respond to a lot of ransomware cases. Those trends would include what we're seeing geographically, what we're seeing by industry, and then also forward predictions of where we think things are going. And then finally, we talk about how people can protect themselves, defend themselves, respond, and remediate against ransomware attacks.
All right, Michael, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks so much.